Hello peeps, just Graham Keith here from the Great Wake Up, and on today's video what I wanted to do is not only share with you how the monetary system really works. Well, it doesn't matter what country you're in, but the majority of countries have a central bank, then this process will work for you. But what I wanted to share with you is how money really works, how we can really pay our bills without money. And I wanted to show you the real evidence of that on this video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you this. Now, you'll recognize this as the council tax bill. And I'm going to get to the meat and potatoes in a moment. Let me just get the bill. Well, the alleged bill, shall we say. My camera's zoomed in. Why is it? Okay. Now, as you can see, that is a council tax bill, right? I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of blurry because of the background. But I can assure you, this is a council tax bill. You see that? Now, on this bill, we don't need to pay with money. Okay? Hang on. I just saw it there. Let me just try and angle it. There we go. There you go. You can see that is a council tax bill. And you can see, why is it blaring like that? It must be the background I've got on. Let me just see. I'll take that background off. Let me just see. Wait a minute. Settings. 1 minute. And I will. There we go. Virtual background. Right, no background. There we go. Right, so here we go, peeps. You can see that was a council tax bill, right? You can see that, okay? Now, what we normally do, we get the balance of the bill right there. It says to pay here £114, right? Just on this specific example. But what we're trained to do is obviously go out to work and earn the money and then pay this bill when it comes in the post. But that's not the truth, guys. That's not how we're meant to be paying our bills. And the UK and any country that you're in runs, if you've got a world central bank, under the Bills of Exchange Act. Now, the Bills of Exchange Act is created to show you how to discharge debt. Why do you want to discharge debt? Because you've not been told the truth about how the world works. Now, you can see here, as I said before, this is a council tax bill. You can see something very different on that bill. Now, I'm going to zoom that right in. On the bill, slightly angled. This is where Johnson and my signature, Graham Keith. And then underneath that, you can see my name, Graham Keith Johnson. And then the word agent. Let me just break this down. What's happening on this bill? What's happening on this bill is the without recourse means that if you write without recourse, it means there is no legal comebacks upon you. So you want to write that straight away because that's what banking terminology is. And that's what bankers use, when, particularly in mortgages, when they create a mortgage financial instrument, they will use the word without recourse. And you can check that yourself on Google, DuckDuckGo, wherever you want. But it means no liability on you after the fact. Okay. Now, below that, you'll see paid to the order of. Paid to the order of is a banking terminology instruction. And we're telling this company here, in this case, it's Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, we're instructing them to pay, to settle, to close, to zero, to nullify, to nil this so-called bill. To zero. And that's what we want to do because we will need to settle the account, right? But we've been trained to settle the account by earning money at our job or employment and using those notes to settle the bill. Now, below that, you'll see the word Graham Johnson in all caps, which is our birth certificate, trust, birth bond, unlawfully created name, which we did not know was not us. But we are actually a banker and a sole proprietorship business operator for the legal name Graham Johnson in my case. Whatever your legal name is with surname, so your first name, middle name, and surname, or first name and surname, or Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. or Master, and your surname is the legal entity. And that legal entity is your birth certificate name, which you and I all thought was us. But it isn't us. It's a trust, it's a company, it's a business you're a sole proprietorship of, which you were not informed about when you were born, and your mum and dad were not informed about, basically joining you into this fictitious, fraudulent contract with the UK corporation, in my case, UK government. Whether it be, whatever it is in your country, it's the same thing. As long as your country is a world central bank, and this will work for you. Okay? Under the capitalized fictitious name, you'll see the word by, that creates a legal dependency. By, then a signature, which is my signature, which authorizes the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, right there, take the money for this so-called bill from the Graham Johnson Trust, as you can see in all caps there. I've just signed it and authorised it. Then my surname, my full name with dashes in between. This is the Styles language. It's proper, true English, true writing with a dash in between. And then underneath, you've got the word agent, because we're the representative of the legal construct called Graham Johnson, which is the legal name in my case. So if your name's John Philip Smith or Peter Daniel Jones, it's the same thing. That is a legal entity, which is not you. Now, because the council are a business, they can only deal with a business, and the business is the all caps name, Graham Johnson. In my case, is the all caps name. And so this is how the game really works. You're never ever meant to pay these bills with your own money. You're meant to discharge them and settle them with a financial instrument. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do right now. So, got your council tax bill in the post, which you can see right there. But hang on, 1 second. This is not a bill. This says here, council tax demand notice. Why does it say that? Well, notice means offer. Legally and legalese, in the language of the Law Society and the solicitors and the bar and the barristers and the judges and the police and the corporations, the word notice means offer. So this is an offer to pay. Obviously, you can't decline an offer with clean hands in a contract, so you must perform on the instrument, which is what we're doing here. We're saying, yep, cool, no problem. I accept your offer and I settle the account to zero. And that's it. And that, my friends, is how bills are really paid. Now, why is that the case? Well, bills are really paid that way because there is no money of substance. Now, in 1933 in the US, the Emergency Banking Act came into force when all the bankers took away the gold and silver as the backing for the currency or the money, in inverted commas, because there is none. So they created this system because there is no money of substance. Now, what I want to challenge you to do now is go into your wallet and pull out a note. Now, on that note, you'll see, if you're in the UK, you'll see, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of 10, 20, 50 pounds, whatever might be, because it's a promise to pay. And if you turn the UK note over, you might see Winston Churchill on there saying, "I have nothing to offer you but sweat," blah blah blah, because it's all manipulation, guys. That's what it is. It's all fraud. It's all deception. It's all manipulation. Because they know that the money's worth nothing, and the people who go to public schools who end up being our prime ministers and governments, they're trained in this stuff. Where we go to public school, where the slaves and peasants and paupers go, we're not trained in any of this stuff, which is why we don't know. Which is why we don't know what they know. That's why we don't know what they know. They know because they're taught. So you can't know something if you're not taught it. Which is what amazes me about people in this world, because when you're presented with new information, they call you a conspiracy theorist. But all it is, particularly information like this, they call you mad, you're mental, you're insane, blah blah blah. All this, you're a conspiracy theorist. But little do they know that is the truth. This is the truth. Now, this is the truth, and you can verify this in the Bills of Exchange Act. Now, let me just see. Actually, let me just see. How do I do that? There we go. One second. How do I do that? I'm trying to share the screen with you to show you something, but I might not need to do that. But let me see. How do I do it? I've never shared the screen on Zoom before, so bear with me, people. Please bear with me. I've got the bloody paper again. Sorry, folks. Oh God, I'm getting so old and decrepit, and my leg is so bad. Dropped it again. Put it back up here, right? Okay, so what I'm trying to do, essentially, is free you guys from fraudulent enslavement that we've all been born into from birth. We've been fed all these nuances. Oh yeah, go and get a job. And look, a job has got its place. A job, there's nothing wrong with having a job. This is not pulling people down who've got a job, because a job gives you purpose sometimes. A job gives you a focus, gives you an occupation. The word occupation comes from a military term, which means to occupy foreign land, which means that there's a war situation going on. I can tell you everything that you need to know, really. But look, I'm struggling sharing the screen. Hang on 1 minute. Share. Let me have a look. Share. Let me see. Wonderful. I think I've cracked it. Let's see. Let me see. Over the shoulder, side by side. Let's see. Background. I don't know. That's right. I'm just going to try it. So just bear with me, folks. Can you see that okay? Uh, let's have a look. Where are we? I'm screen sharing, apparently. I don't know what you can see. Have a look. I'll move that out of the way. Bear with me. I'm really sorry. This is my virgin attempt to share the screen. Let me see. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to bloody again. Right. The Bills of Exchange Act 1882. Hopefully you can see that, because I don't know what you can see. Okay, so basically it says the Bills of Exchange Act 1882 is a landmark UK law, not a law, it's an act of parliament, that codified the rules for bills of exchange, promissory notes and checks, defining their form, unconditional written orders for payment. Okay, the roles of parties, drawer, drawee, payee, and procedures for acceptance, endorsement, and payment, aiming to standardise commercial transactions and build confidence in negotiable instruments. Okay, so that's wonderful news. So what it means basically is that because there is no money In 1933, the Emergency Banking Act came in, all the gold and silver was removed, and the people became the collateral because there was nothing to back the money with true value or wealth, but only the sweat equity of the people became that value. Now, the sweat equity of the people essentially is the collateral for the backing of all the money and all the debt that is a promissory note. Now, a promissory note is a monetary note that's in your wallet. Guess what? Also, this is also classed as a promissory note. Why? Because it meets the criteria of a promissory note. It has the name, it has the date, it has the amount, and it has let me just try and find it. Name, address, date, account reference, amount, which basically deems it a promissory note. This here is exactly the same as the money in your pocket. I know, crazy, right? But this is exactly the same as the money in your pocket. The Bills of Exchange Act says, all in the name, it's a bill of exchange. So you're literally swapping this one with the other one. And in this case, you're actually asking the council to go into your birth trust, which is your all caps name, and take, because your birth trust is full of promissory notes, so in the realms of millions and millions of pounds, because it's your birthright when you were born into this land, the birthright of the share of the land was put into your birth name trust, which you think is your name, but it isn't. It's just a trust. So what we do is we now endorse this so-called bill, which is not a bill. You can notice. Yeah, it's a statement of account, really. But we can still settle this by endorsing the bill, which is what I've done. Now, when you endorse the bill without recourse, pay to the order of your legal name, bar your signature, then your name dash middle name dash surname, and then agent underneath, that's performance. You've literally, performance means to basically pay, means the same as pay. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, just give you an example, that all companies actually only accept bills of exchange. And I'm going to show you that right now. So bear with me a second, find company information, and then we'll go start now. And then we'll type in just a random company. Let's see, what can we do? EE Limited. EE is a broadband provider here in the UK. Could be this one. I think it's EE Limited. And what we do is we go to more, and then we click on the incorporation. Oh no, filing history, sorry. Filing history. Yeah, filing history. So you type your company in, go to filing history, and then you go to incorporation, like that. Now you can see the EE here has a what is it? Second page, incorporation document, usually at the bottom. There is. We'll view the PDF. Now this is a broadband company, it could be any company. What we're going to do here is show you that written in the incorporation document of EE Broadband Limited, essentially, are rules that EE, because EE is a corporation, they must follow. Okay? And I want to prove to you right now that all companies in their incorporation documents, the rules that they must follow, because they're a company, have to accept bills of exchange. You can see it right here. It's under K at the top, right there. to draw, make, accept, endorse, negotiate, discount, and execute promissory notes, bills of exchange, and other negotiable instruments. So you've just seen me do that live. So as long as your company is a large company or a major company backed by government, like insurance companies, Wi-Fi companies, major companies, just big companies really, then this will work on them because they have to abide by it in their rules of operation, in their incorporation document. And you just saw me do that live. So don't be fooled, don't be worried, because it's in their incorporation document. And this is going to be part of your defense should it come to it. All you're going to do with this bill, as you can see, I've endorsed it, I've signed it, I've endorsed it, blah, 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 I've autographed it, whatever you want to call it. What I'm going to do, the lady who sent me this so-called bill was called Mrs. Kay Hines, and she's the Chief Financial Officer at the council. So what I've done here is I've wrote a supporting letter or document to go with this exchange. Now, in this letter, I've wrote the following, and I'll show you this on screen in a second. What I've done, because this lady who is the Chief Financial Officer of the council, she may not have a clue what's going on. And she probably don't have a clue what's going on because nobody has ever taught this stuff unless you get to Eton, unless your mum and dad are multi-millionaires or you're in the club or you're doing deals with Satan. You're not going to know this stuff. Okay? So this letter here says basically, it shows Mrs. Hines, who works for the council, how to essentially do a job. And it says, further supporting information for the Chief Financial Officer, Miss Kay Hines. Let me just put this on screen. Urgent, do not dismiss this document. There may be a civil case in a private capacity against you, not your employer. Dear Mrs. Kay Hines, I hope you're well. Enclosed is a NBBC council tax demand notice which you deem a bill which has been legally and lawfully endorsed, which means essentially authorised, autographed and settled in full in line with the UK Bills of Exchange Act 1882. I appreciate you may have no knowledge in this field, however, ignorance of the law is no excuse or defence. Your job now is to process this bill and zero the account. Thank you. Respectfully, you have 30 days from receipt to perform. The Leeds and Bedford Borough Council, being a corporation registered on Dun and Bradstreet, do indeed accept goods of exchange as a payment stroke settlement of debt per account. I've enclosed the evidence for you. See the paper enclosed. Please note, please do not return this bill without settling the account. Please do not keep the bill without settling the account, because this is illegal and may result in a civil case being initiated against you in a private capacity. View the government website link below now for proof of the government legislation, e.g. the Bills of Exchange Act, you have to follow. And there it is right there. I think I've just read to you. It's right there. Okay? Now, what we're doing here in this letter is we're guiding a lady who is allegedly the chief financial officer of the business that we're dealing with. He won't have any idea of what's going on. She's got no idea. And you can see here, this is how we do it. On the second page of this letter that I sent to her, it says the following. As you can see, there's a side note at the top. Delivery of this financial instrument bill to you is acceptance of the exchange under the Bills of Exchange Act 1882. See Part 1, Subsection 2, under interpretation of terms, Acceptance means an acceptance completed by delivery. This bill is transferable as well. I must also make you aware that any obfuscation or avoidance of your legal corporate responsibilities in settling this account to zero may result in civil action against you in a private capacity. Thank you so much for your lawful assistance in this matter. Have a great day. Without recourse, all inalienable rights reserved. And you've got the buy and my signature and all that stuff at the bottom. And the legal name, operating as agent. So essentially, just showing her how to do what she's legally obligated to do as the chief financial officer of the council. And that is her job. She's legally obliged to do it. Okay, so she has to settle this account. If the law says so, corporations, the law for a corporation is statutory, it's the Bills of Exchange Act, because it applies only to corporations, which is why the government turned you into a corporation when you were born. Makes sense? Now, just in case she comes out with, oh, well, we're not a corporation, we're not this, we're not that, we're a council. Well, I'm sorry to say, but here's the evidence that they're not. You go to Dunn's, and you can do a search. Where is it? Dunn's number right there. Now you can see here that the council have a Dunn's number. Like that. In line with one. This is registered to Dun& Bradstreet, which is also registered from the UK Corporation to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Everything is done through the US Treasury. But you can see there, the evidence is right there. They're a corporation. There is a corporation Dunn's number. So that can't be argued. Right. So the bottom line is, okay, we've addressed the endorsed the bill. We wrote that on the bill, or the statement, but we've endorsed the bill. And we have given instructions to the CFO how to deal with this bill. And we enclose the proof that there are a corporation to whom the Bill of Exchange Act applies. All we then do for our records is we copy all the pages that I've just showed you, all of them. Okay. And we would then make sure we endorse, sign at the bottom on this page, by and date, sign and date it on the second page, in my case. And then what we'd do is we'd literally get, big stretch, we'd get an envelope, we would get a pen, and we would write on the envelope, preferably in red. You can write whatever colour you like. Mine is red. Got one of those special pens to do this job. We'd literally write, blah, 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 Mrs. K. Hines, blah, 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 Chief Financial Officer, Council, blah, 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 Council Tax. And we'd send it recorded delivery, exceptionally important. It's got to be sent recorded delivery. It's going to cost you a little bit, maybe £7 or $10 if you're in the US. But it's okay, because we're discharging a bill that, in my case, cost £114 without paying for it, with our own, money, so to speak. So all we're doing is we're literally writing on the bill in pen, and that's how money works. We're bankers. We are multimillionaires right now. Our birth trust is what makes all this possible. People think you're a raving lunatic. Because why? Because they've never been taught it. And if they've never been taught it, they're going to think that this is crazy, which is totally understandable. But this is how banks, governments, blah, 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 the people with major control issues like to be in charge. And this is how they control us, by deceiving us and keeping real, true information of how the system really works, how money really works, how the world really works from us. But this is what we do. So we've been to company's house. We've seen that the company in question has to accept, in law, this bill of exchange. Now I need to move this out of the way. So how do I do that? There we go. Right, so let's close this down, and then we go now to the actual Bills of Exchange Act. Now let's find that. Where is it? Bill of Exchange Act 1882. Click on that, and then we go to when it loads, of course. So now look at this. As I said to you, as soon as you endorsed and signed that bill with your without recourse, paid third, all that, as soon as you send it in an envelope, record the delivery to the named person, e.g. the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, or the Chief Executive Officer, whoever you want to address it to. It's probably best to address the CFO. Then you will see in the Bills of Exchange Act here that acceptance means an acceptance completed by delivery or notification. So as soon as you deliver this document that's been endorsed to the people who you're meant to be sending it to, like the council in my case, it's done. It says it right there. Acceptance means an acceptance completed by delivery. So as soon as you send it, it's classed as accepted under the Bills of Exchange Act. Under the Bills of Exchange Act, all corporations must follow by law. The matter is settled. The account is zeroed, the bill is gone, and the balance is zeroed out. Okay? Simple as that. Absolutely as simple as that. Now, essentially, as we discussed before, a bill means a bill of, sorry, bear with me. Bill means a bill of exchange, and a note means a promissory note. Now, essentially, the council tax bill in my case is a bill of exchange. And I'm exchanging that bill with the ability to offset and settle the account through my birth trust, my legal name, which is Graham Johnson, which essentially is a sole proprietorship. So I'm a businessman operating a business that I knew nothing about. And I knew even less about. There are multiple millions and millions and millions of pounds sat in my trust. And that's why I don't pay bills, because I can't pay them. How can you pay bills when there's no money with which to pay them with? All you can do is discharge the debt. Okay. Now, because the corporation in this case is the council, they are a person, which means a business, right? Now, I'm a person when I'm doing business with a corporation because I can discharge the debt. Now, if it's a situation where I'm being harmed, then I'm not going to be that person. But in a situation where it benefits me, I'm going to be the person because I can discharge the debt. And I'm here for benefits. I'm not here for privileges. I'm here for benefits because I'm a banker. Benefits doesn't mean, universal credit. It means knowing who you are and being able to settle all your bills or alleged debts in writing, essentially. But you can see all these complicated, convoluted words with different meanings, but all it means here is what we've discussed. Acceptance of this bill is completed by delivery. So all that means is that when I post this bill to the council, that's it. The bill is zeroed. Now, here's what happens in reality. Because we're dealing with fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists, we run the entire system. We're dealing with minions and sheep, with all respect to those people who have been deceived, who work for the council, and they don't know what's going on, regardless of their position. The CEO might not even have a clue. The CFO might not have a clue. So the chief executive officer may not even know what's going on in his own corporation. And the chief financial officer may not have a clue about finances and how they really work. And that expands the horizons to the police who don't know the law and solicitors who don't know true law. They only deal They're only dealt trained in legality, which is not law. It's all commerce, it's all deception, it's all fraud. Because none of us, are you a piece of paper? Are you a corporation, or are you a living, breathing man, woman, boy, or girl? Just ask yourself the question: do you bleed when you cut yourself? If you do, you're living, which is what makes the entire system fraud. So feel free to endorse your bills or your, in this case, your council tax bill, because they're committing fraud on you. They're defrauding you. And all we're doing is we're settling the account. And that's what we're happy to do. So what we do now then, we've got the bill signed, we've got the person we're sending it to, we endorse the bill, we put it in an envelope, we sign and post it, record the delivery to the addressed CFO or the chief financial officer of that business. You can't do this with like just little private business like the man on the corner shop or anything like that. It's got to be like bigger businesses, like your council, like your Wi-Fi provider, like your court fines, um, police speeding tickets, anything of real sort of oomph. Even though the government have got no oomph at all, but you see what I'm saying. So big companies this applies to, or bigger companies this applies to, and that, my friends, is how you settle your bills without money, um, live in person, on this video presentation. Now, what will happen is you will send them the bill in the envelope, endorsed, recorded delivery. You must keep copies, as I showed you before, of every page that you send. You must do that. Administration is massively important on your part. Also, when you get your bill posted at the post office, get a recorded delivery receipt to prove you've sent it by recorded delivery. And you're going to need to keep that receipt and guard it with your life. Because here's what happens next. The council or whoever will usually come back and say, we don't accept this. That's fantastic. Fantastic news. Because in the Bills of Exchange Act, it clearly says here that acceptance is completed by delivery. Okay. Now, what that means is that as soon as they've received your bill in the post by recorded delivery, that is the matter settled. And we're using their own rules against them because they're a corporation. They have to abide by this. They have to. They have to. So this is why we win. And it might take a few times. They might, they can't dishonor the bill. So if they send you the bill back, if they send you a letter back saying, "Oh, we don't accept this," but they don't send the bill back, then you win. If they send the bill back, then you win because they've dishonored the bill. They can't dishonor the bill because you've done it in clean hands and good faith and in line with legislation. So you cannot be held liable because you vote without recourse as well. Means you've got an extra layer of protection against these fraudsters and criminals who are trying to basically, shake you upside down and go through your pockets till you got no money left. But you don't need money because money is valueless, which is why they've set up the Bill of Exchange Act so you can discharge debt because they know money doesn't exist. And that's why the politicians and all the psychopaths in charge know this inside out. It's similar in the USA under the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, but it's just really a transference to the UK under the Bills of Exchange Act. So it is all the same, essentially. But that's how you do it. It says here, an act to codify the law related to bills of exchange, checks, and promissory notes. So you can see that they have to follow this law. Started on the 18th of August, 1882. They have to follow this. So when they come back with a letter saying, "Oh, we don't accept this," then you can then just point them back to this Bills of Exchange Act, which says you do. But it's all in the letter anyway. If they reject the letter, then you ask them for your bill of exchange back. And as soon as they say no, because they're not legally allowed to send it you back, you win. You've won, which is why you need your evidence for court. If it ever goes to court, which it usually doesn't, because if they return it, they broke the law. And if they don't return it and don't zero the account, they've broken the law. But in any instance, if they return it, you can always get to the post office and send it back again. Because what, it's costing you a fiver to pay a £200 bill? Pretty much worth it in my book. And that's how it works, folks. You can do that with all your bills. Well, oh, excuse me. It's a long day. Do all your bills, such as your electric, gas, water, utilities, council tax, council rates. Get off my screen, will you? I don't know what else doing. Needs to stop right now because it's doing my head in. But that's how we do it. That's how we discharge all of our debt. And people go, "You're mad, mate. You're mad, mate." My family have always said, you know, when I woke up in 12 and a half years ago, in terms of some of the stuff I do, "You're crazy, mate. You're crazy." Well, okay, that's okay. I respect your judgment and your opinion. Well, I'm not going to allow that to impregnate my energy field. I know who I am, and I know the groundwork and the legwork I've done over many years to achieve the successes and this realizations of consciousness that I have. And it's the same for you. Everything we've ever been taught is backwards. That's as simple as it gets. It really is. And why? Why would they do that? Because then it subverts you. Then it means that you're at a loss automatically. You have limited knowledge, what they have over you. So therefore, you're under the thumb. And that's what makes you a slave, because you don't know you're enslaved. You don't know that money is created this way. Well, promissory notes, because there is no money, are created this way. So you can discharge all your bills without paying through your sweat equity in your job. That's how it works. So essentially, you get a bill from your council, your say a court fine, a speeding fine, a Wi-Fi bill, anything really, anything that you want to perform on from a big company or a bigger company than your average Joe around the corner shop. Car finance, it works on credit cards, loans as well. So if you've got a loan, you can ask for a settlement figure. They'll post out the settlement figure on a piece of paper. You just endorse it, like I've just showed you there. Same rules apply, right to the chief financial officer of the loan company. Go to company's house, get their incorporation document as proof. Prove they're a company, prove because they're a company, they have to follow the Bills of Exchange Act. And that's it. That debt is settled. And if they come back and say, "Oh, we don't accept this," you win. If they post it back to you, you win. Because all you then do is you've got the evidence that they posted it back, save that evidence and post it back again with another recorded delivery. Because it's not costing you really much to sell. Say you've got a car on finance worth, say, £10,000 or $20,000. That's it. Request the settlement figure, endorse the bill, prove that they're a corporation, point them in line with the letter template, the Bills of Exchange Act or the UCC, depending on what country you're in, whether it be Britain or England or America, UK or America, United States. Either way, it works the same. And that's all you do. That's how you discharge debt without money. And this is a step-by-step live walkthrough of how you do that. I just wanted to thank you for being here to watch how it's done, because that's essentially as simple as it gets. You are a banker. You are a multi-millionaire banker right now from the day you were born. I just didn't tell you. The knowledge really is power. Really is power. I just wanted to thank you so much for watching. And if you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below. Please like, share, and subscribe as well. We're very grateful for that. I'm going to have my friend on here soon called Richard Ashmore, who is also heavily into the discharging of debt. We've done it with fines, court fines, speeding fines, traffic tickets, parking charge, penalty charge notices, um, car finance, everything. Because this is how money works. And that's why the bankers are a hell of a lot richer than you, because they're cashing in on your signatures that you didn't know about. Whenever you sign a document and you just sign it, that is money. Crazy, but that is money. It's a promissory note. That is what is classed as money. So when you go in for a bank via mortgage and you sign the mortgage in principle agreement to see if you qualify, how can you qualify for finance when you've got millions and millions of pounds in your birth? Because that's the fraud. When you sign the agreement to accept the credit search to see if you're eligible for a mortgage, that is your they monetize that straight away. And when you sign to agree to the mortgage contract that you've actually already fulfilled because you created the money through your signature that the bank have alleged that you're borrowing, which is complete nonsense and fraud, the highest level of fraud and treason and subversion of the Constitution and slavery and peonage and all those different offences against you. Don't worry about any of that. That's all irrelevant because you're not a slave. They've deceived you into being one. You're not a slave. You're a banker. You're a multi-millionaire banker, which is why I turned down $8 million. So it's not because I'm big and clever. I wouldn't mind the $8 million of promissory notes still to this day. It'd be lovely. But it doesn't really matter because it's all fake anyway. And that's what millionaires don't know. So that's how, well, most of them don't know, but that's how we do it. That's how we discharge all of our debt or so-called debt, alleged debt, with a pen and paper, with no money down, with no burning, 60-hour weeks. And we do it. So hopefully that's enlightened you to try, give it a go. Nothing to fear because look, if they don't accept it and they go, oh, so you can all, we're going to jail you for 20 years, which is complete nonsense because they can't do that. But just an extreme example. If they did say that, you could just pay it anyway with your usual promissory notes. I've just done a full reclaim of council tax. The entire duration of 20 years of council tax, probably £30,000, probably. Well, it doesn't mean anything to me because it's all nonsense anyway. When the council come back saying, do you owe us £30,000? Do you had all your money back? I'll say, yes, I do. Please send me a bill. You see where I'm going with this? Please send me a bill, which is a statement or notice of account. But please send me a bill and I will happily settle the account to zero. Thank you. As soon as they send you the bill, guess what we're going to do with it, folks? Yeah, we're going to endorse it with this, without recourse, pay to the order of Graham Johnson, in my case, or John Smith, or Polly Pocket, or Emma Jones, or Caroline Smith, whatever. By signature, and then your name, Caroline Helen Smith, agent. Pop in an envelope, address it to the CFO, record the delivery at the post office, keep the receipt with your life, because that is your proof of delivery, and delivery is acceptance under the legislation, the Bills of Exchange Act, or the United Commercial Code in the US. It's all the same everywhere. But that, my friends, is how it's done. Step by step, live, on camera. And if you want to do it yourself, just give it a go. So thank you for watching. I've been Graham Keith, The Great Wake Up, and I really appreciate your time. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is a new channel. I do my best with it, but YouTube do throttle me in terms of reach because of the content that I'm putting out there. And obviously, because we're new, we take time to grow. It takes a lot of time to build a YouTube channel and a lot of videos to make it grow. But you know what? If you believe that quality is found in numbers, that's okay. Well, I disagree. I believe, it doesn't matter how many followers or subscribers you've got. What matters is the information you're putting out there and how you can help and assist people. We're all one family, folks, whether you're white, black, brown, orange, yellow, whether you believe you're a man or a woman or a bit of both, or a cat or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all the same bullshit coming from the same people. Just to obscure you, to confuse you, to divide you. It's all the same bullshit. But the rules are the same for every corporation because they're a corporation and they can never get away from that. And guess what? They've deceived you into being a corporation so they could raid your corporation and take all your wealth. Whenever you sign your name, just in a signature form, you've given them money. And they're drawing it and 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 drawing it. Why? Because there is no money, which is why you can pay a bill with a pen and paper. And you can only pay a bill with a pen and paper if there's no money. Are we getting it, folks? Excellent. Thank you for watching. Got any comments? Drop them below. And look out for the next one of the next videos with Richard Ashmore. And he'll go into a bit more detail with you on bills of exchange, promissory notes, discharging debt, and balancing the books without having to break a sweat to do it. Thank you for watching. Much love. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'll be happy to engage with you. Really appreciate your time. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.